Hi everyone, it's Mel from My Paper Oasis. I know it's been forever since I've done a live video, so thank you all for your patience in waiting for that to happen. I've had a few things going on that have prevented me from doing live videos for the last little while, but hopefully, I'll be able to come back regularly and do some live videos with you. I really wanted to pop by today for World Card Making Day. It's one of Stampin' Up! Demonstrator's famous or favourite times of the year, I should say. We love making cards, so today is the day about celebrating all of that. So what I really want to encourage you to do today is to make a card and send a card and hashtag that if you do a post for what you've made. So I put a list up of what you would need today. So it was about having a regular card base, which is this one here. This is Calypso Coral that I've got. A Whisper White piece of cardstock that is 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. I asked for you to provide a 3-inch square. Now I've actually used the layering squares and the scallop here, and I put the sizes down for you. And also a 2 5/8 inch square, but this is the largest stitched shaped framelit. So I want to make a card using these things very, very shortly. What I asked you guys to do if you didn't have those was just to have a plain card. So I really want to show you tonight how simply one design can help you make a lot of cards, especially at this time of year. Christmas is, coming up to Christmas is hugely busy, and I don't know about you, but I like to be able to make quick Christmas cards because you have so many of them to send. So a basic design like this, I'm going to show you how you can use these elements to create cards and change it up to suit what your design needs are. So if you had all the basic elements today, I asked for a sentiment and an image that would fit inside this white square. This is something like you can create. This is just a cherry cobbler card with a Happy Christmas sentiment stamped on the large white piece. That's your smaller, your 3-inch red square, and that's your white piece. And all I've done is stamped directly onto the white piece here. Now this is using our Painted Harvest set. I've made like a little Christmas wreath, and as you can see with all that glimmer, that's just our Wink of Stella to make it a little bit more glamorous. So that's a really basic card. But you can also dress just that basic card up with a little bit of ribbon. Wherever you stick it, you can choose where you might want to stick that, and that adds like a little bit of a different look already to the card. And let me show you some others that you can create to get a different look with your card. So once we start changing things up, if you use a stamped image that has a matching punch, this is our Delightful Daisy bundle, you can already see that that's lifting stuff off the card, and that gives it a different look again with some embellishments. And I've actually made an entire set of those in all of our in colours. So they're all our recent in colours. Very basic card, but really pretty, like really, really pretty, those cards. So that's one way that you can change it up, is by popping up a 3D element on that. The other thing that you can do, instead of using the Whisper White here, you can actually use some Designer Series paper. So here's a basic one with Designer Series paper, and we've added a bit of ribbon just in a different spot, and I've layered this one up on dimensionals that you can see there, and a little bit of gold embossing just adds a little bit of extra bling to it as well. So that's another thing that you can do. And then you can see by using DSP, changing the ribbon spot, but still the same elements, but I've popped the candles up. So it gives it a 3D look again, and a little bit more embossing here. Just really starts to bring the cards to a different kind of level, if you can notice those. The other things that you can then start to do is change it up. This is where you can start to change it up a little bit. So instead of using a square shape, why not try the ovals? So by changing the ovals and then changing the layout of the card to the landscape view, you get a different card again using DSP. Or change the position of where you pop things. So now we're using circles, but we're popping it down in the bottom of the card and using a little bit of bling just to bling that up a bit. I can guarantee you these cards are quick and simple and will really help you get your Christmas decorating done really quickly. So these stamp sets, in case you're wondering, these three are out of our Merry Patterns suite set. It's an absolutely gorgeous set. I love this set for Christmas. Making these cards with this is super easy, but this is the one where if you host a workshop, you can get this for free with a $450 workshop, or if you've just got a massive order, you can get this for free. It's automatically added to your order for free as well. The other ones, this Happy Christmas is out of our, what's it called? Hang on, give me a sec. Oh, What Fun set. So that one's got lots of sentiments, and that one's in the annual catalogue. And then this Eat, Drink and Be Merry is out of our Merry Little Labels set that has the matching punch that coordinates with these ones. So there's lots of sets. This one's in the new holiday catalogue. Lots of different sets that you can do for Christmas to make your Christmas cards really quick and simple. And by simply changing a few elements, you get a very different look. The other thing that you can do is then change up what you're doing again. This was one of my favorites. I love the Magic Mermaid stamp. I've simply stamped this background but brought the image up. So it doesn't have to be circles and squares and whatever. You can use whatever image you want above this to create a completely different look again. And this background this time is embossed. I don't know if you can see the ripples on there terribly well, but that is embossed. So again, same pattern, ribbons tied differently, but like a card that looks quite different to all your other cards, but exactly the same kind of principles being used. So the other thing you can then do is go and pop them on boxes. Once you get a bit more confident, you can change it to a rectangular shape instead of squares, and same, decorate the background a bit. This one's with embossing paste. I've just made it a rectangle instead of a square, and used a different image again. But again, the card, you know, they're really quick, really simple, but give you a really good look to your cards. So tonight I'm actually going to use this one with Calypso Coral, and I'm going to show you a different card again using Painted Harvest. Painted Harvest has fast become, I wasn't sure about it at first, but it's really become one of my favourite sets. So that's the one with the big sunflower and the leaves and some sentiments, and you can buy it in a bundle with the matching punch with the leaves, which I highly recommend rather than trying to fussy cut these. Everybody knows I love a bit of fussy cutting, but that's taking it a little bit far for me. So if you're going to play along, make sure you've got all your pieces, and you can, obviously this is going to be uploaded so you know you can play along after. I'm having a bit of a competition that if you play along, create a card, there'll be a post that comes up very shortly on my page where you can actually post an image of the card you create, and I'm going to send the winner a prize. So I'll get one of my kids to choose their favourite card, and we will post a prize out to that person. I'll be in touch and post a prize. So you've got your card base, regular standard card base. Like I said, mine's Calypso Coral. And I've got my big white, Whisper White piece. Now, because Painted Harvest is photopolymer, it doesn't have the sponge underneath like red rubber does. So I'm using my Pierce Matte to give it that little bit of bounce that it needs. And I'm going to pop a sentiment on here. And I'm going to use Calypso Coral because I'm all about matchy-matchy. So same ink. And I'm just going to pop this down in the corner this time. I really like this sentiment. There we go. So that's the sentiment done. And I can actually attach this to the card base because that's all I'm doing if you remember the cards that I've shown you. Fast Fuse is also on sale, people, in case you didn't know. We've got some amazing specials for like 15% off selected products for World Card Making Day. And Fast Fuse is actually, you buy the Fast Fuse and you get 2 refills for free. Refills are $11 each, so that's a $22 saving. So if you're into Fast Fuse, highly recommend getting it. There is a few tricks to it, but it's amazing. Now, what I want to show you this time is with this piece is instead of using Designer Series paper on this piece, why not use Designer Series paper for this piece? And you can easily do that. However, for this stamp, I actually prefer to create my own. The stamp set has these gorgeous little acorns in it, and I'm going to stamp them up. So I use Soft Suede for the base of my acorns. Now, because it's a tiny stamp and I'm trying to create DSP, you don't want to stamp so that all your images are solid on your paper. Like, it doesn't matter if you've got some popping off like that. In fact, you probably want it so it looks like that's what you've cut. out of a square. So I'll finish this later because there's loads of those to do. It will take a little bit. But you've also got the little lid, which I'm doing in crumb cake. And the easiest way I've found to line this up is to actually overlap it slightly, and I can't see a thing, as you can tell with that stamp, through the camera here. So let me see if I can try that again. Hang on. That's a bit better. It's really difficult to stamp that little acorn while I've got the camera going. Okay, so that's the only bit with this stamp set that you need to really line up to get a good image of. And look, I did do one earlier for you so that you can see that's what I'm talking about. So just having your bits everywhere so it looks like you've literally cut it from designer series paper rather than whole ones everywhere. So I'm going to pop this, adhere this down onto my little Calypso Coral layered scallop square here. And this is the stitch shaped framelits. I absolutely love these framelits. They're $50. You get 4 squares, 4 ovals and 4 circles. And they just add so much extra to your images. I love them. I use them so often. You probably get sick of seeing them in all my card things that I do. Oh, hi everyone. Sorry I haven't paid any attention to people who have joined. Thanks for joining me tonight. I've been so lost in my little world here. Okay, so I'm going to adhere this onto my card, just onto the card front. So same principles, a couple of squares, the sentiment, and down it goes. Now, I'm using Painted Harvest, so I'm going to stamp this gorgeous flower. I need to show you how simple this flower is to stamp. You have it's a 2-step stamp. So you've got your base and your overlay, and your overlay should generally be in the darker colour. But let me tell you my favourite thing about this stamp. You don't have to line it up. How many of you have done 2-step stamping, and you've likely done it with me, and you have to line it up and you get so frustrated because it doesn't line up? This stamp is not like that. So that's Peekaboo Peach. And that's the flatter base one. And then I'm going to do the overlay in Calypso Coral. So this will give you the darker appearance, but seriously, you don't have to line it up. The only thing you have to kind of do is make sure your circles are near each other, but you don't actually have to line it up in any direction. And look at that. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I really love this flower. It's so simple, and you know, because there's no lining up, it's even better. I'm going to do my internal part of my flower in crumb cake. Now again, you don't really have to line this circle up. There is a way that you'll find that it sits a little bit better. You can see it's got 2 kind of longer sides. So I just kind of match that up a little bit with the stamp and pop that down, and it's done. And then for all of you who know me and love me, you will know that I want to fussy cut that out. So the one thing when you're fussy cutting this is you can see like there's not lots of points. You don't have to be super fussy with it when you fussy cut it out. No, there's no punch or framelit that matches it, but it really doesn't take that long to whip around when you fussy cut one. And you can see, you know, you don't, like I've just gone around where all the colours are to fussy cut mine. So, you know, don't be too particular with it. Don't get too fussy with it. So I did that so I didn't have to do that on camera as well, because I know, you know, nobody wants to sit here for 10 years and watch me make things. So I'm just going to pop that one up on a dimensional. I just pop one in the middle because generally that works. So pop him in the middle there like that. And then I am going to stamp some leaves. Now you do have to line these ones up, I'm sorry. And this is going to be fun on camera as well. So I'm going to use Old Olive for my leaves. And you have like a watercolor base leaf for this one, and you can just use that if you want. Now the easiest way to punch this leaf when you're stamping is to make sure that your stem is near the edge. So just stamp it down. And I'm going to do a couple of these leaves. And then you can either leave them like that, and one I will, and one I'm going to overlay. So that's the overlay pattern. You can see it's kind of meant to be all cut out, and it just pops some veins in, but it is a little bit trickier to line up. So you've just got to kind of overlay where your stems are and pop it down. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't, you know, if it's not super perfect when you do that. Then the easiest way to match your punches, for those of you who haven't used it, the image is on the front, but if you flip it over, you can see where you're punching. Simply slide your cardstock in the end. you can see where your image is, just like that, and punch it out. And do that with the second one. So there you go. So if I bring my card back in, what I'm going to do is just use a little bit of Tombow adhesive for that. This is our multi-purpose glue. I love it. Lots of people hate it. It takes a bit of practice to get used to it. One of the tricks is make sure the glue is right down in the barrel. So give it a good couple of shakes, okay? And then often the top will clog if you've left your lid off for a bit. So make sure that's empty. If it's not empty, just rub your finger over it gently and you'll feel that whole heap will pull out on you. And then it's just a matter of controlled squeezing. So I just do a tiny, can you see that? Tiny little glob. And then I'm just going to tuck it down behind my flower. And I'm going to do that with this one as well. And pop that in and overlay them. And I've got a spare one of this and I need to have odd numbers. I don't know what it is, but it definitely needs odd numbers. And I'm just going to tuck that one in under there. And I don't like to glue the leaves all the way down because I like that look with the leaves popping up, so you can actually bend them and, you know, do what you want to with it, give the card a bit more of a 3D feel. So, you know, keep that in mind when you're sticking that down. So that's another way that you can utilize this kind of format with either circles, squares, you know, ovals, moving them around, having them at the top of the card, positioning. And if you really want to jazz this up, you can add some bling. I'm actually going to add one ribbon, if I can find my glue dots. Yes, I can. I always like to add ribbon with glue dots. And I didn't do this on camera, this ribbon, because it's really hard for me to do. It's like you need 3 fingers to do it. So I've done like a double ribbon. So I don't know how other people do theirs, but I have folded my ribbon and overlapped it a bit in the middle, done that twice, and then tied a separate bit around both of those pieces to keep it together. And then you just pop a glue dot on the back, and I'm just literally going to adhere it in the corner of the card just to fancy it up even that little bit more. So what do you think? There you go. One basic layout to make so many different kinds of options of cards, depending on how you work it and what you do with it. So I don't know if you can see them all in there, but you can see they all look pretty different, but they're all using that same basic principle of having a cardstock and one layer and then 2 smaller layers, you know, on another section of the card with your sentiments and images. And that's how you get multiple looks from one card design. So one design, so many possibilities. I hope you enjoyed that, everyone. I'm going to post this up on my blog so that you have access to it as well. The dimensions will be there for the card layers, and I will post up some multiple pictures on there for you so that you can see everything. Anyway, have a great card making day. I hope you have managed to do some card making on World Card Making Day, and I hope you love this. Please join in the competition. There'll be a post on the page that tells you where to put all your photos in the comments of whatever you design and create. And if you really like these kinds of simple things to do, the Designer Series papers are on sale at the moment. It's buy 3, get 1 free. So I've got a post a bit earlier that has the link to all those Designer Series papers that are on sale as well. So make sure you check out all the sales for Card Making Day. World Card Making sales finish on the 10th of this month. And the DSP sale goes until the end of the month, and so does the special with getting this stamp set with a $450 order or workshop. Have a really great night, guys, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.